All eyes on Rafah. This image went viral. It was shared 47 million times.
Not only was there a police helicopter circling overhead before they ever did anything, right? There were also county police and a police drone observing. And as soon as the students ran out, they were trying to avoid the police presence, they ran out on the lawn and started putting up their tents, right? Tents on the lawn. Militarized police presence. It was as if they were expecting a foreign army invading.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to the Struggle Video News. All eyes on Rafah. This image went viral. It was shared 47 million times. As well, it should be. It gave rise to other AI-produced images with the same message. And of course, it was used on signs. We record a few days after Israel bombed refugees in tents, killing 45 outright and burning many more. It's being called the Tent Massacre, just one of the many massacres perpetrated by the Israeli apartheid state. Some Israelis celebrated it. Yes, you heard that right. Celebrated. Here's the headline in an article in the Israeli paper Haaretz. It reads, "Happy Holidays. Right-wing Israeli journalists celebrate Rafah attack, likening it to Lag BaOmer bonfire." Lag BaOmer is a Jewish holiday that some Jews observe to celebrate a mystic rabbi. It's marked in Israel by the lighting of bonfires. In this video, Israeli young people dancing to a genocidal song, "May Your Village Burn." You've heard that the prosecutor for the International Criminal Court, the ICC, is seeking arrest warrants for Netanyahu, his defense minister Gallant, and Sinwar of Hamas. It's a surprise because the ICC hasn't done anything about war crimes in Palestine, despite the enormous amounts of evidence. This was explained in an article, an exclusive in 972 Mag. It broke a story about how the Israeli spy agency Mossad had been trying to strong-arm the ICC for years, spying on ICC personnel, seeing what dirt they could dig up and then use against them. The Guardian newspaper, which had worked together with 972 Mag, reported that the head of the Mossad, Yossi Cohen, had personally threatened Fatou Bensouda several times about the ICC and its investigations. Then the Israeli paper Haaretz wrote that it had uncovered this story in 2022, 2 years ago, and had prepared an article, but was prevented from publishing the story by the Israeli government using its emergency law. Few know that Israeli journalists have to submit any article to the military censor in advance if it discusses so-called security issues, of which Israeli censors have 6 pages of categories. If the censor doesn't like the story, that's it, you can't publish. You can understand that a government won't want its military operations to be revealed, but the record shows that censors mostly quash articles that embarrass government officials, and that's what was done this time. Netanyahu and his crew and top military leaders have spent 9 years working on the ICC to try to prevent it from sending out arrest warrants. Hopefully, this has finally come to an end. We'll have links to the articles I discussed in our Palestine-Israel archive. Here's the QR code. One article that was partially censored so angered Haaretz publishers that they printed the story with the black marks of the censor included. The article in question concerned Bassem Tamimi of Nabi Saleh, a leader in the fight against settler land grabs of the town's land. Bassem Tamimi was put in administrative detention in late October and has not been seen by his family since. In that same town of Nabi Saleh, on June 1st of last year, 2-year-old Mohammed Tamimi was shot dead by an Israeli sniper while the lad was sitting buckled in his car seat. The sniper was not punished. These are 2 photos of the little boy. We had a protest of the killing last year, and we set up this counter to remind us that justice has not been served. And a tribute to Syrian-American Dr. Majd Kamalmaz. In a past show, we explained that his family had just been told that he died in one of Assad's prisons in 2017 or 2018. Here's a video of him receiving an award shortly before he went to Syria in 2017 to help refugees.
All the staff, all the beneficiaries that we have, really from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
And deep honor, Majd, to present you with Humanitarian Heart Award from our Methodist student. We also have a plaque in the back for your staff, which he insisted on. Said he would not take this honor himself, that it had to be shared with his entire staff. Thank you.
Now video from 2 colleges, students walking out of their graduations in protest of the Gaza genocide. First, hundreds at Yale University.
They have been recommended. As the authority vested in me, I confer as designated by the Dean, all their rights and responsibilities.
and as many as 1,000 leaving Harvard's graduation ceremony. Last week, we had part of our Courage Award ceremony on the program. The award was given in honor of Palestinian journalists. We had on the section with Fatah Alwan, a journalist from the West Bank. Now, Professor Mara Horowitz. I'm very pleased to introduce Professor Mara Horowitz. She is assistant professor at SUNY, the State University of New York at Purchase. She is an anthropology-trained archaeologist using worldwide ancient history and archaeology to teach global studies curriculum organized by the United Nations Sustainable Development. And she kept watch over students during their encampment and protest at SUNY. Professor.
Hello, good evening. It's really great to be here and to speak with you all. I've been a Danbury resident for a very long time. I originate in Midtown Manhattan. And I'm a senior member of Jewish Voice for Peace Westchester because I work in Westchester, so I'm really down there more than I am home. I'd like to talk to you today about the courage that's taking place on our college campuses today in solidarity with people who are suffering genocide. And I wish I could say it was just the one genocide. Honestly, there are a number of places in the world where this is also happening, and it usually finds its way back to the United States and its weapons companies and its imperialist goals and its economic global economic goals, and not just us, but our allies as well. As Tad mentioned, I trained as an archaeologist, Near Eastern archaeology. I could give you a potted history of that strip of land that we're talking about, going back over 100,000 years. So my specialty is the Bronze Age, 3,000 to 5,000 years ago. And for a long time, I trained in this very sort of blinkered community of focusing on what was happening in the ancient world. But living and working in different parts of the region over the last 25 years, I came to realize that the modern day needed more. It needed more from me. There was more that I could do as a Jewish American. There was more that I could do as an educator. There was more that I could do, and so I moved to help build the global studies curriculum and to work with Jewish Voice for Peace. So the Purchase College is a small liberal arts college. It's one of many. There are 5 in Westchester alone, and as part of the State University of New York system, we get a lot of students from the region, New York City, and it has been fascinating these past 10 years to meet this young generation that is so unlike my generation in so many ways. The way that they grew up, the way that they see the world, the way that they have their opinions and their keen eye for nonsense that's being fed to them, and their ability to go around corporate censored news and yet still not be too jaded to give up. Not like my generation, right? I'm a young ex, and we looked at the world and said, well, they're telling us we can't do anything, so what could we do? No, these young people are so inspired, and they're following what's going on, and they are following it through online streaming content. They're able to connect directly to journalists in Palestine, and it didn't start on October 7th. Nothing started on October 7th, of course. My family has a long history of it. Foundational sides in my family. It's over 100 years of plotting and working and moving to take that land, to steal it by any means necessary. And it really is just that simple. We want it, we'll do anything to take it. And that is genocide, it's ethnic cleansing, it's war crimes, it's all of those things. So my students, I've had long conversations with them. We have some of my courses where we go into detail. I teach courses like migration, transportation, health and human rights, the problems that we have globally and how to solve them. So I already had, I know the students in the science club and those who've been particularly active on the topic of freedom for Palestine. I've been working for freedom of Palestine for over 25 years. Was radicalized from my upbringing as a grad student at Columbia University and went on from there. So as of October of this year, our students got together. They actually formed new student groups. The old ones were not sufficient. They formed a new group called Purchase Jews for Palestine. They seceded from Hillel, which had been telling them stories that were clearly not true, and they knew it. So they created their own group. We also have a group called Raising the Consciousness Purchase, which is devoted to a lot of issues like over-policing on the campus, but also the urgency of this in this moment. And every day that's gone by and every death toll that's been published, the urgency has built and built. And the students have started out with protests and sit-ins and requests to meet with administration. And as with most schools, I think possibly all schools, there was this reply of, well, we're busy, there are things to do, right? What can we do about that? But most especially, no, our money is very safe with the weapons companies. We get good payments from our investments, and we don't want to mess with that. Underneath the surface, it's the money. And colleges have endowments. The endowments are managed by financial specialists, and those people have something called a fiduciary responsibility, meaning their job is to make as much money as they can. And if you don't put ethical limits on them, if you don't put a structure in place saying, no, we don't want to invest in genocide, no matter how profitable it is, then that is what they will do, and that is what they have done. And the system is so enormously wrapped up in exploitation that it is hard to find a place to invest your money that isn't somehow complicit in some kind of exploitational behavior, whether it's ecocide, genocide, any kind of destruction is fine as long as it's bringing in substantial reward and value for shareholders. So my students got together, and they, inspired by the tent protests around the country, they decided, along with students at a total of 5 SUNY colleges, we have 64 colleges in the SUNY system, that 2 Thursdays ago they were going to go out on the lawn, put up some tents and signs, and stay there until the administration agreed to talk to them about their goals. And they were met, and I was with them, as were a number of lawyers from Jewish Voice for Peace as advisors. The word had clearly gone around because not only was there a police helicopter circling overhead before they ever did anything, right? There were also county police and a police drone observing. And as soon as the students ran out, they were trying to avoid the police presence, they ran out on the lawn and started putting up their tents, right? Tents on the lawn. Militarized police presence. It was as if they were expecting a foreign army invading. And their own students. So there was a negotiation. I got permission for them to put the tents down and sit on them, and then they could continue their protest. But that ran out at 10 p.m., and they were ordered to get off the lawn, which is not a rule, and they refused. About 70 students, 80 students volunteered to be arrested by the enormous presence of county police that had by then been called in with large buses to take them away. And they discussed it amongst themselves, and they said, we're going to sit on the lawn, we're going to be silent, we're not breaking any rules, and so we are willing to be peaceably arrested to make this point. They were not peaceably arrested. They were dragged, they were thrown, they had their necks kneeled on, they were injured, their private property, including their bags with their laptops and their medications, were thrown in the dumpster. And in the chaos that ensued once the police began to attack, 6 of my faculty colleagues were also arrested. We were there as, monitors and mediators. So in total, 70 people were taken away, and 68 people were charged, and many more repulsed also at Binghamton, Stony Brook, and Buffalo, 5 SUNY campuses that went up. And by dawn, they had all been released, charged with trespassing, sitting on the lawn, and they ran right back out on that lawn and planted themselves with twice as many students and refused to move. So throughout Friday, negotiations with the school went nowhere. Saturday afternoon, I was asked to go back down and try to create a conduit between the negotiations. That fell through. I ended up staying out all night, Saturday night, just to keep an eye on things. Sunday morning, the campus police dashed in and seized everything and ran off with the tents. Even that didn't discourage the students because it was pouring rain. So they went inside, and we, the faculty, stepped in and organized an executive session. We talked to them and organized meetings with administration, and we came together and finally found a way to agree to the basic demands, which were to create committees for disclosure. Where is the money, right? This is a public institution, and it is a nonprofit institution. It should be public. Where is the money, and who are the investments that we have our money with? Who are the contractors? It's an enormous task, but to get it started, in return for canceling the disciplinary charges and the political charges. And the students, throughout this entire ordeal, right? Some of them ended up with concussions and sprained wrists, and one the police just left at the hospital because they had compressed her, and she had a stomach condition, so she couldn't stop vomiting. So they just left her there, and we had her picked up by a JVP member, taken in overnight, and then returned the next day. And I was so amazed at their collective determination. Right? These are students from every part of our society, every race, every culture, every gender. They had all come together for this purpose, right? And they clearly stated their demands. They clearly stated that they would not be moved because the urgency of every day, what rolls in every day, and our news media, mostly too cowardly or too bought off to show what's truly happening. The cowardly New York Times, which recently someone said, somehow the New York Times manages to be the best and worst newspaper in the world. They will publish something like the 1619 Project, and then they will capitulate to our government's demand that they sell the invasion of Iraq. And they've certainly been all over the place covering this latest outbreak of conflict. And they have occasionally published exposés on what's been going on. but in this case fallen really sadly very short, and also campus protests being ignored by the media or painted as outside agitators. A lot of us who were there can tell the story. So I wanted to share that with you.
Can we go right to the victory?
Yes. So we do have an agreement, and looking forward, it's going to be hard work. Everybody in the schools community has come together, and of course, New York State has an executive order that constrains what can be done relative to divesting from or boycotting Israel, but we are working around that by looking at all purveyors of profit for genocide, all the merchants of death. We are demanding better. We're doing it already for environment and sustainability. It should already be the case that we don't invest in genocide, but unfortunately, we absolutely do, and it's on all of us to change that. So I just wanted to share that with you, and it's an ongoing situation, ongoing quest, and I'm so incredibly proud of this generation all around the country facing this violent, militarized repression. And nothing says Zionism is an integral part of U.S. Imperialistic and economic policy than the police defending it with every violent means at their hand. This has changed higher education in the United States forever. And there will be no going back. The status quo has been shattered. And it's not over by a long shot. But it's really quite amazing to see. I'm very privileged to be with them.
That's our program for today. Thanks for tuning in. See us next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller for the Struggle Video News.